It has been 1 hour since its closure and the summer transfer window has been wrapped up. Aston Villa ultimately end this transfer window with 7 new signings from the summer and a whole lot of outgoings as well. And in this video, we're going to quickly just run through everybody to see who has come in and who has come out. So if you all enjoyed this video, please leave a like, subscribe in the comments down below, and let's just get straight into it because we're not going to waste time with this one considering we're coming up to the Man City game. We're short on time as it is, so we're going to do it straight away for you. Overall, Aston Villa this summer have spent in the region of around £65 million on players coming in. Obviously, there will be exceptions for players on the loan wages and obviously what goes on there, and we quite don't know exactly the fees that have been paid for some of those permanent transfers, but from what we can estimate and from what we've read of reports, it has been around in the £65 million area, which compared to what Dean Smith's had, it's not quite as much as he's spent. Obviously a bit of a portion of it was done in January, but overall perhaps not really had as much of a backing as Dean Smith has gotten. But ultimately, who does it fall onto? Does it fall onto Gerrard for not finding the players? Is it Purslow or Lange not finding what was suitable enough to improve the squad? Who knows? Because ultimately, I think, as I'm recording as well, the signs that we have made on deadline day, one of them's a fine signing and one that's sensible, and the other one is a shambles of a signing, because we'll get into it. So obviously the window started really strong. Kabamara coming in on a free from Marseille, somebody that I think after playing a few games this year hasn't done anything wrong. You know, he's improved us a lot in that position. You know, somewhere that we've been craving for in a new defensive midfielder, something in that midfield area to help liven it up. And I think Kamara's done a really good job of it. You can see there is, through all the rubbish that he's had to play around with him, there is a lot of quality with him at his young age. But if anything, it's just someone that's massively gone under the radar and hasn't really caught the eye. But, you know, it's 5 games. It's very young and raw. That's perfectly fine. Robin Olsen then, about 3.5 million from Roma. There's not much you can say about him. He's only played 1 game, and that was the Man City game on the last day of the season last year. Not really much to say there, but ultimately we needed some competition behind Emi Martinez, Jed Steer as well, who's now still at the club, unless a loan is completed, which I don't really think it's going to be look like it is. Ultimately, we part with a player who might not get enough in time, but we'll have to see from that. And then a really big signing in Diego Carlos from Sevilla, and unfortunately, obviously, he got injured. You know, he's looking really strong, really good. Obviously, he was going to be our starting centre-half with whichever the pairing Gerrard could have found. But unfortunately, he got injured during that game against Everton at home. You can check out our vlog on there and see if they actually get a win this season. But he's really strong, and it's a real shame to see him get injured at this stage of his career as well. You know, because you never know, is he going to come back from it at 20 or 29, whatever years he is? How is he going to come back from it? Who knows? Philippe Coutinho then for 20 million. I think somebody overall that's not really, has really lost the hype, really lost the factor. I believe he's got 3 or 1 goal involvement in 15 appearances or something. Very lacklustre from him. But it's clearly one of those signings that Gerrard's made just because of the relationship, and somebody that, you know, we can sign a Philippe Coutinho, we can bring the rest in, and perhaps that hasn't transpired yet from the season. Ludwig Östersund from Sevilla as well then on loan. Haven't seen enough of him because he doesn't seem to bloody play, you know, which is really disappointing as well. Didn't get a game out against Bolton in that Carabao Cup. So there's not really much more you can judge there, but ultimately we need left-back cover. Obviously Ash Young has signed on, but is somehow looking like to be the backup in right-back position, even though Frederick Gilbert is still at the club. So I'm probably going to have his contract terminated, who knows. But hopefully Ludwig will get more chances before he does go back. And then obviously the 2 deadline day signings. The first one that came out, Leandro Dendonk. Rubbish. I mean, really, he's not a terrible player. It's just not a very exciting signing, is it? It's someone for me, you know, from waking up and seeing the links that came out for him, it just screamed like we need a midfielder. The possibility, obviously, the window really was focused around Douglas Luiz leaving today. Ultimately, that didn't happen. So Villa have not only kept perhaps one of their better players who has 1 year left on his contract, But we've also now strengthened in midfield in the sense that we've added some more quality. We've added just another number to that midfielder. And whether he does turn out to be good or not, who knows to be seen. But for me personally, from watching him at Wolves, from playing against him, he's just not that exciting to watch, not that inspiring. And for the money that we've paid for him, I just think it's just not really one that sets me alight at all. It's just a really bit of a bit of a panic buy in the sense that we needed some depth in midfield. We'll see. And then obviously the other signing, which I think is much more sensible, and ultimately I don't really understand the complaints behind it. Jan Bednarek on loan from Southampton. I'm fine with this one. You know, I think he's a fine defender. It's only for a year until Diego Carlos comes back. You know, there was talks that obviously Bednarek coming in meant Mings could have left, but that would make no sense because then we're still short on centre halves. Bednarek's fine. He's a solid defender. I think he's, compared to him and Vestergaard, I think Bednarek was actually probably the better one of the two. We've got that. Obviously, he was rumoured to be going to West Ham because Craig Dawson was rumoured to be going to Wolves, and then Southampton was going to sign Coletta Carr, which they have done ultimately. But ultimately, Bednarek decided against going to West Ham, came to Villa on a loan, and that's going to be fine. You know, it fills up that position very well. It means we've got at least two key centre halves in the both left-sided and right-sided of those positions, and ultimately, you know, we can stick with him for a year until Carlos comes back, and then decide what Villa want to do from there on there and then. Obviously, then finally, players out. Probably the biggest one really was Carney Chukwuemeka, wasn't it? 20 million to Chelsea, a great bit of business from Aston Villa Football Club, who ultimately didn't want to sign a contract. So we had to move him on, and fair due to him. He's getting loads of minutes at Chelsea, so I can't wait to see him break through this season. Anwar El Ghazi leaving in quite some way, actually. You know, a player that, you know, had to be gone from the team because he was just never going to play anymore. But in the message that he put out, kind of upsetting. A really good player on his time in the Championship, but ultimately just not what we needed anymore. And he's gone to PSV. Trezeguet gone as well. Bertrand Traore on loan. Courtney House on loan. Keenan Davis on loan. Ken Kessler-Hayden on loan. I thought that was a real big disappointing sign. Somebody that looks more than ready to play in the first team, but perhaps he's not getting it. Obviously, Tim Regebum going to QPR. Caleb Chukwuemeka, the last outgoing, going to Crawley Town on loan. You know, there was reports of him just getting rid of him because of his brother going to Burnley. Ben Christine as well going to Kilmarnock. Aaron Ramsey going to Norwich. And then obviously the likes of Jane Village and Bidays going to Cardiff, and Wesley so-and-so out there. Perhaps probably the biggest confusion from this all is Cameron Archer. What's happening to him? You know, a kid that's not getting any minutes, was heavily targeted to go on loan. So perhaps it does say, well, perhaps they are going to give him a chance in the first team, which is nice. But considering the minutes he's been getting, which is none, it'll be worrying for him. You know, he's going to need minutes. He's not going anywhere now until January. He's going to have to have minutes, and we need to see him play. And he needs to sometimes be given more of a chance ahead of the likes of Danny Ings and Ollie Watkins, who haven't done it. You know, he can score against Chelsea in the Carabao Cup. He's more than capable of scoring goals. We've seen it all pre-season. Give him a chance there as well. As I said, Frederick Gilbert still with the club. More than likely going to have his contract terminated, or they're going to try and ship him out in January. Or who knows, there could somehow be a magical U-turn where he somehow finds a way back into the first team. But it's probably not going to happen, is it? Jed Steers still here. Marvis Nakamba is still here. I'm saying that like I'm surprised, but it's supposed to Philip Death. Morgan Sanson is still with Aston Villa Football Club. Who knows what's going to happen with him? Never playing. That's a good one. And then obviously some of the missed names, the likes of Ismail Sarr not coming in after what seemed like it was ready and done, going to be done. Ultimately, that fell through. If I had to grade this window, I think it's been quite a poor window, unfortunately. It doesn't really show the ambition. You know, Kamara and Carlos were there, but Carlos isn't just the only real thing we've got is Kamara. Coutinho's not really in anyone's mindset right now, in no one's thoughts. And then obviously our two deadline day signings, and the likes of Olsen and Augustinsson, which we just don't know what to expect from them. So if I would have to give this a rating out of 10, I'd give it a 6 out of 10. I just think going forward, the fact we only have one winger now in Leon Bailey, I know the likes of Buendia and Coutinho can fill this position as well as Watkins, but you know, in a system of a 4-2-3-1, it doesn't really fill it out with any confidence, does it? Especially if we want to play with wide players, which, you know, Steven Gerrard has done at Rangers. We didn't really you know, fill that position. But we have unloaded some deadwood, and you know what I mean, for me, it's not really the transfers, it's just about management, trying to get that right, because I think then you'll see a rejuvenation in these players, and we'll see something that we all want to see from Aston Villa Football Club going ahead. So yeah, that has been the transfer window for Aston Villa. Leave in the comments down below who you think your favourite signing from this window has been. Obviously, it is Aston Villa versus Manchester City coming up, where Villa will get battered, so don't be surprised for it. But it's the next few big weeks for Aston Villa Football Club, Steven Gerrard and the fan base. Yeah, tell us in the comments down below what you thought. But otherwise, I've been Ben. We've enjoyed the window. We'll see you for the next game of the Villa with the Pride of Villa. We'll see you later, boys.